Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to our series playing d4. So in this series I'm going to show you some good opening lines against particular defenses. For instance, if your opponent plays the King's Indian as black, for instance if he plays the Nimzo Indian, Benoni Defenses and similar stuff. And today we're continuing our d4 play against the Benoni Defense again. Today with a similar structure like in our previous videos. I've covered so far 4 videos how to beat the Benoni. So now this is our video number 5, in which again we're beating the Benoni, but with a different line that black can choose. I think it's a very often played line, and I think you should be familiar with these ideas if you're of course a d4 player. And the best way I think to beat the Benoni defense is with the so-called Kingside Move Order. So let's check out now what's all about and of what's this different line and how you should play against this line. So okay, here d4 is our first move, of course. Knight to f6, we have knight to f3. I myself like to play the second move, knight to f3, when my opponent plays the move knight to f6. I don't like to play the move c4. If you play this moves c4 in as a second move, then the game is much more complex, I think. First of all, black can go into similar ideas. Black can go into Benoni gambit lines after c5, d5, b5. So that's why my recommendation is to play the second move knight to f3. It's a faster development. We can still have this fast development with e3, bishop to d3, kingside castling. So okay, as I said, it's simply my style. It's not that this c4 move is worse. It's, I think, more complicated to play because black has a much better flexibility to play as black. He can go into more and more aggressive opening lines. My style is simply to go knight to f3. So here comes the move c5, and again we played the move d5. Here after the move g6, knight to c3. That's the Kingside Move Order setup that I'm recommending you, because we are not playing the move c4 in long terms. Not immediately, but as a long-term plan, black could cement one of these minor pieces around the square d4 if you advance the pawn on c4 immediately. There is really a deep preparation. When I just try to study some openings, I really try to see potential outcomes and potential plans for my opponent. So believe me, if you play the move c4, black in the Benoni defense at least has, I think, a more comfortable game than against this Kingside Move Order. So bishop to g7, here e4, and now comes the move castling. So this is a very interesting line that black can play as a Benoni player, and my recommendation is simply to go e5, the most aggressive line. Here after the move knight to g4, what you shouldn't do is maybe to play the move bishop to f4. Of course, you'll see also many games in the database that this move was played, but I think black can go now into his normal Benoni ideas with the move d6 after something like, I don't know, e takes d6, e takes d6, and now the e file is opened. You have problems to cover the king. The knight is very active here, so that's why we should really find a more aggressive way after the move knight to g4. And now you should play the move here knight to g5. What we can notice now here that the knight is heading on g4, and okay, black can take the pawn on e5, but now there is a very aggressive move. It's the move f4. You see, the knight is basically trapped. The knight doesn't have good squares. The knight doesn't have the g4 square. The knight doesn't have the c4 square. The knight cannot move anywhere. The knight is trapped. What black can do as a counterplay here is the move f6, but now comes really the tricky part of this opening, because we can play now knight to h7. You see, with this move f6, black has weakened the pawn structure in front of the king further and further, although it comes to trades of pieces. After king to h7, we have now f takes e5. After f takes e5, now comes bishop to d3, and that's, I think, a huge attack now against black. Here the evaluation is immediately winning. Even if, for instance, here d6 is played, here let's go back first to this idea, bishop to d3. I'm not seeing good ways how black should defend this. Let's see possible e6 lines. We can go immediately h4, here h5, breaking the position in front of the king. Queen to h5 is even here a possibility. Bishop to g5. So really both of these bishops are so dangerous against the king. The h file will get opened, the queen will sneak in, so it's a losing game immediately. There are really no good ways. If you try something like d6 here, again we can play h4. So here if you try to cover again, h5, and we'll simply break the position. Bishop takes d3, queen to d3, and now h takes g6 is the threat. You cannot cover it. If you try queen to e8 again, we'll simply take, and we get now really comfortable game. So too many great opportunities are here for white, so that's why even the move d6 doesn't help you out, because we can simply continue here with the move e6, because we're trying now to lock the position on light squares. What black could do here is move knight to f2, and I wanted to show you how you should not react, because the best way, believe me or not, after the move e6 is to play for black here the move knight to f2. How you should not react, let's go to one game that I found in the database. Here the same move order, here e6, knight to f2. Here I think white complicated things and tried f takes, e takes f7. That's not a good choice, because after rook to f7, here knight takes f7 can be played, knight takes d1, here again knight takes d8, and I think in this position, although black is down the exchange, it is playable, and in this particular game black won the game. Although the evaluation here after this couple of moves is slightly better for white, but that's not the point. Here you should not, as I said, complicate things. After knight to f2, you should simply take the king to f2 and now allow your opponent this check. It's not a problem about that, but now we can hide, and after something like e takes d5, we can play knight to d5 or queen to d5, and I think this is completely better here for white. So okay, that was this lines after the move. Let's see, knight to g5, as I said, knight to e5, f4, very important, kicking away the knight. And now whatever black does, we should really undermine the pressure. We should sacrifice this knight for a pawn, but we of course get our pawn back, we get our knight back, pardon me. And after f takes e5, bishop to d3, and with h4 h5 preparations, it's winning immediately. So what black could do here, as also a counter-attack idea, is to play the move knight to h6, to somehow defend this pawn on f7, somehow to defend this position. But the problem about this setup of blacks is that the knight is not on a natural square. First of all, it's not on a defending square on f6, and we can weaken the pawn structure. We have really got our goal immediately, because we have weakened the pawn structure in front of the king. We can now again attack the position with the move h4. And here in one game, it was a game played by Denis Devrut against Al Sayed Mohammed Nasser. Here in the game, h4 was played here by white, and black took f takes e6, but we're simply continuing our aggressive attack with h5. That's the main goal. Here in the game, black tried again d takes e6, but now knight to h7 is here completely winning, because if you take king to h7, then h takes g6. If you get your king back, we can simply take out this one, get the queen again into the game. We can take out again with knight to d5 or even queen to d5, then queen to h5 is also a possibility. So really great attacking possibilities. Here, if you try after the move king to g6, for instance, if we take h takes g6, king to g6, then of course queen to h5, king to h7 is not so good. Again, bishop to d3 can happen, and similar stuff. So really beautiful attacking possibilities that you have after the move knight to g5. Here in the game, after the move e6, let's see this cool game. Knight to h6, as I said, h4, f takes e6 was played, h5, knight takes h7. Here bishop to g4 was played, again another problem, because we have queen to d5. In the game e6 was played, but now queen to b7 is completely winning. We're simply taking out taking out the rook. In the game, black tried queen to a5 a counterattack, bishop to d2, queen to b4, queen takes, and now queen to b2, rook to b1, and this was completely winning here for white. Let's see also the continuation, but it was really cool now tactical sequence that happened, because black tried here to move queen to c3. You cannot take, you're getting checkmated by both of these bishops, but okay, here still you have bishop to d3. You see this tension here on light squares. Here queen to e5 was played, not a problem. Now after queen to e4, bishop to e4, white is white has simply too much material, and black after a couple of moves resigned. So this was the line. As I said, it will happen to you many times. I think you should be really familiar after move knight to g4, knight to g5. So here, as I said, knight takes e5, we play f4, the knight is locked, f6, knight takes h7, f takes e4, after f takes e4, bishop to d3, and now h4 is simply too much to handle, I think, here for black. So okay, this was, I think, a very interesting line. This, I think, you should know when you play against a Benoni player. I'm teaching these things my nephews, my friends, when I meet them. So I really think this is something that you have to know by heart. This is not a good opportunity here for black to play this Benoni. There are better lines, even if against this Kingside Move Order, but I think this Kingside Move Order, at least as a preparation, is a good choice to beat the Benoni. So okay, if you want to study or play against the Benoni more, here's the link to my series, Beat the Benoni. And if you want to study d4 more, check out my whole series, how to play d4. Here's also the link, and if you like this content, you can also subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.